to Sustainably Ever After. I'm your host, Lilah McDonald, and today I'll be talking to Bryce Marsden, the Chief Executive of the Milford Foundation. Welcome, Bryce. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
So how did you come to work at Milford?
Very simply, I needed a new challenge. So I was working at my previous employer for 13 years. I'd done all I wanted to do there, and I was becoming, as my friends would say, annoying and bored. So an opportunity came up to come to Milford. So I came along, I interviewed, I put my CV in, I interviewed, and I got offered the role. So that was in 2010. So I've been here a little while now.
Amazing. So you've been in various leadership roles since then. Can you tell me where you started out in the company and where you are now?
Yep, sure. Started out as Chief Operating Officer, but you've got to remember we're a really small business, and it's a flash term for doing everything. Over time, we've grown. I think there were 9 employees when I started. Well, I know there were, and we're just on 200 now.
Wow.
So I've had other senior roles within Milford, CFO, Chief People Officer. I've been on the board. And again, after about 10 years, I was not becoming bored, but restless. And we'd always talked about Milford, because Milford's very, very philanthropic. It always has been. It comes through from the DNA of the founders and other employees. So we wanted to do something that was meaningful and would matter. So enter the Milford Foundation. We created it, and I got to run it, which is great.
Wow, amazing. So what was it like in the beginning when you were kind of building it up?
Challenging, because you're starting with a blank piece of paper, which is what I love, because then you get to create all the things and do all the bits that you want, and that's what the space I thrive in. But there's a lot to do. There's a lot of people to take on the journey. There's a whole lot of different opinions about what the foundation would look like and who it would support and the areas we'd be involved in. So quite a challenging time, but also very rewarding because everyone wanted a really solid result and a great result for the foundation, and for it to really make a difference, not just sort of be one of the 29,000 charities that are registered in New Zealand, but actually make a meaningful change to the things that it wanted to do. And look, we got youth, education and environment are our 3 pillars, so we focused really hard in there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you a little bit about that, but can you tell me a little bit more in depth about the meaningful change that you are making?
Yeah, it's a change designed at the youth level. We're trying to make New Zealand better through looking after the young people or the future generation, because at the end of the day, they're the people who are going to have responsibility for New Zealand and make all the decisions, people like you. So the more we can help them to be better humans, to have better knowledge, to have better learnings, to have better understandings, the better New Zealand will be. And look, the focus charities that we've got at the moment, and we'll hope to grow it, but still stay narrow, is we've got about 46 young people at university at the moment on our scholarships.
Oh, wow.
So that group are coming through into the world with education at a higher level. They wouldn't be at university if it wasn't for the foundation's support. These are fabulous young people, and they're the solid New Zealand citizens of the future. They will make a meaningful difference in whatever they decide to do in their community. We support Money Time, which is a financial literacy tool. It's in intermediate schools, 10 to 14-year-olds. It's gamified, so kids love it. So we take the teacher out of the equation. You get an avatar and you work your way through a whole lot of tests and learnings, and then you get money time money, and then you get to buy stuff or donate to charity, and it takes you through real life experiences, because you want your first experience with money to be a rewarding and a fun one. You don't want it to be a sad and lending and borrowing and immediately your concept of money is debt. So that's where that one comes in. And another one is 0800 What's Up, which is a helpline for 5-year-olds to 19-year-olds, and it supports them through the moments in life where it's all a bit challenging and I need to speak to someone and I need a little guidance and a bit of help, just to help them through the ups and downs. What's up's, the title basically means, well, what's up? So whatever's on your mind at whatever stage, you can give them a call. They have trained counsellors, so that's the right people you should be talking to. So those are the kind of the focus areas for the future generations. So the kids and the young people are coming out with greater skills, better knowledge, and will create a better New Zealand, which is what everyone hopes.
How do you, I guess, like pick what initiatives you're going to do to have the most impact?
That's hard. There's quite a lot of charities out there. Initially, we had to work out what our pillars were.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got those three, which narrowed things down. So then we went into, well, what within youth in education do we want to do? So 0800 What's Up came up as one we were familiar with. So we took that on board because if you've got the right mindset, you can actually learn. If you've got the wrong mindset because you're thinking about a whole lot of other challenges in your life, you're not going to learn it at school. Simple as that. So that one there helps education and youth. But we really try to make sure that the youth are looked after and the education goes through. It's because of our investment philosophy here, it's like a funnel. So we've got the pillars, then we go into the areas we want, then we find the charities within those areas. We start with sort of a desktop research because we don't want to interfere with the charity. We want it to continue to do what it does rather than spend a whole lot of time sending us a proposal and those type of things. Once we get down to that, actually this is a contender, then we pick up the phone, go meet them, see what they do, dig a bit deeper, make sure they're sustainable from a financial and ongoing point of view. And then if they're selected, they then go through to present to the trustees and a funding agreement's done. And what I would say is we back people for the longer term. So it's not a short term, okay, that's this year's one. We go to another one the next year. We do 3 to 5 year granting patterns to give the security to the charity that they know we're going to back them from a financial point of view. And even the students, if they're doing a 3-year degree, we'll give them $10,000 each year for 3 years. If they're doing a 4-year degree, 4 years of 10,000, 5 years, etc. So we're backing the student to be successful and to finish their degree. So it's longer term.
That's great. So would you have any advice for other organisations on how to partner with, other charities and make a difference?
Yeah, look, personally, go deep into what you're passionate about. Don't try and spread yourself too thin.
Okay.
Do the research, find the right charity, and then go in boots and all. Work hard with that charity, not just financially, but add the skills that you'll be able to bring to the occasion. And that's what we do in spades here as well. So yes, they get some granting from us, but it's all the other items we have available, skills we have, people we have, which helps. But also have an exit plan. You've got to make sure that the charity can survive if you step away,
Right.
or it actually delivers on what it's set out to do, and therefore the need is no longer there. So those are some of the things that I'd suggest people should think about. You don't want to be the reason that the charity falls over because you've stopped funding it.
Yeah.
So you want to have an exit ability. But
That's
yeah,
true.
go deep, go passionate, because if you love it, you'll be really, really engaged with it.
So your third pillar that we haven't really talked about yet is the environment.
It is.
Why did you choose this as a focus?
Pretty simple. New Zealand is the environment.
Okay.
And I live
Yeah.
here.
That's fair enough.
So-
That's fair enough.
So if New Zealand's not healthy, then the people on it aren't going to be healthy, etc. So, yeah, that was pretty simple one for me, and that if we want to have a healthy and robust New Zealand in the sense of the people that live here, you need a healthy and robust country in the form of the land, the water, the air, etc.
What are some of your environmental projects?
Yeah, the big one for us is the Puanui Regeneration Project. So that's the Puanui Stream in South Auckland, which runs from Manurewa Botanical Gardens through to Wiri. So I think it's about 12 kilometres long, yeah. And basically what they're looking to do, 3 iwi out there have combined with the other iwis throughout Auckland to regenerate and bring the stream back to how it was before we turned up, for want of a better description. So there's planting, there's eradication of pests and plants that shouldn't be there. There's reworking all of the stream from underground to above ground. It's a phenomenally big, challenging project because it goes through the back of houses and the back of factories and warehouses and things like that. So there's a huge amount of people involved in the project, and we're a small part of it. But to have that much nature back in an area of Auckland where nature's a sports field, this will be fabulous for those communities. There'll be cycleways and walkways and barbecue areas and potentially swimming holes and all those type of things which they don't have access to at the moment. So that's a big one for us. But I guess we challenge all of our charities in the environmental space and ourselves. So Money Time, it's online. There's no paper involved. We got Sustainable Business Network to work with them to adjust some of their questions that the young students go through to have more an environmental lens and still teach financial literacy. So those type of things just makes the environment more alive for people, and that's kind of how we're doing it.
Yeah. Is there anything you do, I guess, within Milford's operations to be more aware of the environment, or, a lot of big companies have trouble balancing profit with environment. What's your view on that?
You actually can be more profitable if you balance those. Yeah. So within Milford, we have a pretty low footprint anyway. We're a people business. We don't take raw materials and create something. Yeah. But we are acutely aware that we do have a footprint. Yeah. So we look at all the travel we need to do, and do we really need to do it? Or can we simply turn on Zoom or Teams and have the same conversation rather than be there? Some you absolutely have to be there face to face, and that's important to build connections. But others we don't. We don't print a lot. I'm obviously an example of the badness. But we tend to look at it regularly. We have a sustainability team. So, and it's a responsible investing. We look at all of the companies that we invest in to make sure, because some of them do have quite big footprints, that they're looking at that and the things they're doing to make sure that they're reducing the waste that they create, or using the fossil fuels and those type of things. So we're quite fortunate in that because we're a decent sized business, we know lots of other businesses, and we can have those open conversations with them around, well, what are you doing in this space? And for some of them, they say, look, we're really struggling with what we should do. We've got a range of reporting requirements coming up in financial statements for companies, listed companies, So we're having conversations with them, how are you going to report it? What are you going to say? What's your process? Not that we're going to help them do their financial statements, but we want to understand it from our investing point of view. What are they doing and how are they being better? Because we, on behalf of all of the clients at Milford, have a responsibility to make sure that the companies are doing the right things. And if we're not happy, we will either leave, which happens, but we prefer the engagement model. We'd rather sit down with them and help them make better decisions in the environmental space and sustainability space and the things they do, ESG, environment, social and governance. Those type of things is what we want to help them with, because education is the only way, for me, you're going to change the dial. Just saying don't do that doesn't help anyone. You need to educate them and show them other options and what other companies are doing, and that's what the team does, and they're fabulous at it.
So what kind of advice would you give companies that want to become more environmentally conscious but don't know where to start?
Educate yourself.
Okay.
There's stuff out there. Don't get bogged down on the really big, complicated, I'm going to boil the world dry. Just get into what I can do in my space, and just take small steps and start. Those are kind of the things I'd say, because people sometimes go, it's a bit hard, or it's all way too hard, because they're trying to go from one position to perfection. Mm-hmm. Whereas actually just one person taking one less flight is a start. One person looking at the way they can change a piece of their product to make it more sustainable. One person doing something else. It's just start, and through all these incremental steps, you will get there. I mean, I think I heard today our carbon emissions are down on last year's. Now, nothing major's happened as far as I'm aware, apart from the fact that everyone's going, I might just not do that, or I might just not do that. So it's all these small things that actually can add up to a big change.
Yeah. Why do you think that companies should care about not just the environment, but also, education and youth, like you've invested?
Yeah, we need an educated group of New Zealanders, to be brutally honest. Everyone should be entitled to free and quality education, because the educated people come up with great ideas. They can come up to solutions to problems. That's one of the things that they should be doing. And to be fair, I'm not going to be here for an incredibly long period of time. You will be here for a lot longer. You need to be given the tools and the skills and the knowledge and the encouragement to change and to move the dial in New Zealand. I think many people are doing it, young and old, but the young are going to be here a lot longer than the old to continue the work. So that's why I think it's important for companies to invest in that space with helping the young people go through. I mean, our future employees, our future customers are all younger. And the younger group, we've got an amazing group of young people coming into the business, learning their stuff from some of the older, I use the word loosely, employees. And that's really important. But it's the young people who will make any business successful going forward, which is why companies should, and many do, invest into that space.
I love to hear that. So in terms of Milford's, I just want to learn a little bit, I guess, more about the model. So Milford Foundation gets a lot of its donations from Milford, but
Correct.
then I read that they also get some public donations. So what kind of percentage is that, and what's your strategy around getting donations?
Yeah, look, I'm very, very, very fortunate. So I get to have all of Milford's assets and toys and fun things to do. So this room, for example, I get to use on behalf of Milford for the foundation. Milford assists us through financial support, significant financial support. But we also have clients who like Milford and what they've done for them, and they like our structured approach. They like the rigour we put around where the money goes, because it's not my money, it's donations from corporates, from individuals. So there's a huge responsibility to make sure that's making a meaningful difference. So we have to try and make sure that we are doing a good job. So Milford is a key part of what we do, which is I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
The board's amazing. The Milford board is very, very supportive, because they know that the benefits of what the foundation does will benefit New Zealand Inc., and they're all New Zealanders who love this country.
You know, what I found quite interesting was when I was doing research for this podcast episode, on the Milford website, it's not like they're hugely promoting the Milford Foundation, which I feel like a lot of companies, if they're doing something good like that, it's at the forefront of everything that you see. Why is that, and how important do you think it is to, I guess, for a company, if they're doing something environmental, to showcase that?
We're humble, I think is what I'd say. It's part of our DNA. We tend not to run around too much saying how great we are. Mm-hmm. We just get on with it. I think we've been blamed a few times for not being loud enough or proud enough, but we're all very fortunate in what we do, and we're very comfortable that we know we're doing good things. We know we're doing a great job. I'd always remember we were sitting in the investment committee, and we might have won an award for the prior year, and the head of investments would come in, and we'd be sitting around, and he'd go, okay, well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for their work, and congratulations for winning last night. And then the award would be picked up, put behind. I was like, right, well, that was last year. What are we going to do this year? And then we'd get straight into it. Doesn't mean we don't celebrate success, because we certainly do that. But we keep our feet on the ground, which is why you don't see as much of us running around saying all the amazing things we do. We probably should do more of it, if I'm honest. But the humbleness in us makes us think, oh, well, we'll just keep on doing all the great work we do, and people will find out and know.
Yeah, I think that's great. I was really impressed to see that, actually, because a lot of companies would use this as very strongly as marketing and to sell their product or service. And it's hard these days to distinguish what's greenwashing and what's real. So I thought that was actually quite cool. So what do you think are the biggest challenges that you see within the areas that you focus on as in education, youth and the environment in New Zealand?
There's lots of challenges. I guess for me, if I go to environment first, it's probably water and air pollution, biodiversity. There's only so many species that are going to survive, and that type of stuff. Youth, COVID was not helpful, to say the least. Young people have struggled post that, and some are better for it. The anxiety levels, social media, there's a myriad of things I don't really want to get into, but anxiety is probably one, which is quite high on the list of issues I'd like to see gone for young people. It's not ever as bad as you think it is when you're young, but you don't know that because you're young. And I'm speaking from experience. I was young once.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Amazed I can still remember it.
So what are some of the, I guess, solutions that you want to see to these problems?
I'm a big believer in education, and research and understanding ways to move yourself out of whatever it is, or to move into new areas and new ideas, to challenge yourself. But there's no silver bullet for all these big problems. Again, in the foundation, we're fortunate. we are in an industry which takes a long-term view. We've got clients who we will hopefully have for 40 years, 50 years in KiwiSaver. So that's a long-term relationship, and it will take them 40 to 50 years to build up their retirement savings. We know that a whole lot of incredibly smart people have tried to solve some of the problems in New Zealand, but it takes a while to do it, and they have to start somewhere. But they know it's going to take a generation to shift the dial on certain things. Like the Puanui regeneration project, that's a 40-year project. I was talking to a friend, he's a doctor, and he studies the brain out at Cambridge University in the UK. And I said to him, how's the stuff going? He said, oh, it's brilliant. It's going really well. We're probably a couple of years ahead of plan. I said, oh, it's fantastic. I said, when do you finish? And he said, oh, we're now going to be about 45 years away. And I said, but you won't be around. He said, no. He said, but the work I'm doing will be built on by other researchers coming through. But in 45 odd years, they should have this incredibly better understanding of the way how a small part of the brain works. And he said, look, I've built my research off all the research that was done 30 years ago by people who did that to hand it on. So the foundation's similar to that in my mind. We're starting the work, or we're adding to the work, but we're making the change and the transition so that New Zealand is a better place. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it will take time, and it needs a whole lot of younger people to continue that journey when we're not here.
What gives you hope when thinking about these issues? Because it can get you down sometimes when you think about...
I'm an eternal optimist. People like you. I've got 3 daughters. So there's hope. The younger generation gets it, and they've seen and are learning from the older generation. Just as when I was a younger generation, I was looking at the older generation and learning from that. And you use the good and not the bad, shall we say. So each generation hopefully takes the good and they add to that, and we do less of the bad. So we stop doing things like my, fossil fuels. We all drive a car and that sort of stuff. My girls are less inclined to do that now. They think they make different choices about using different, electrical powered devices rather than petrol powered. Things like that.
Yeah.
That gives me hope. The younger generation gives me hope.
That's really cool. What has been the biggest thing you've learnt so far throughout your journey at Milford Foundation?
I have so much more to learn.
Yeah.
I literally, because I'm an accountant by trade, so I have a businessy type brain. It's very, I won't say black and white because that's not quite right, but it's quite structured, it's quite organised, and I'm used to businesses. So I'm used to that type of thing. Stepping into a charity, foundation, philanthropy organisation, whatever you want to call it, that was a completely different group of people I was meeting, different way of thinking, different way of looking at stuff. So I had to retune my mind to have a more balanced approach to. It didn't take long because it was such wonderful people and so generous with their time and talking to me and just trying to educate me because I needed a lot. It was a foreign world. But also they were appreciative of the business mind that I brought. And because you're new to something, you get to ask lots of questions. And to this day, I still ask lots of questions because you need to know. Well, I need to know stuff. That's my accounting brain going, I have to understand that. I've got to know it better. So I just ask lots of questions. So yes, it was a steep learning curve for anyone to come from one to the other. But loads of fun and some absolutely phenomenally nice people. in the philanthropic space, very caring and giving of their time.
Yeah, great. So what's next for Milford Foundation?
Next,
Yeah.
we've got a project coming up, but I can't really talk about that because it's too soon. So the real focus is trying to get the best and more out of the charities that we support. So 0100 Watts Up, we've helped them through a few challenges earlier in the year. But one of the things we've been working with them on and encouraging them to do is there's quite a few helplines in New Zealand. Why are there so many helplines in New Zealand? Why aren't you working more together, you know, sharing office space or sharing the same phone system, because phone systems now can recognise numbers and channel them off. So rather than having 3 or 4 phone systems, just have one central one, which sends the calls out and save yourself some money, which you can put back into getting more counsellors, which means you can answer more calls and you can do more things. So it's really working with our charities to help them become better. I mean, our people and culture team helped one of our charities. They were trying to recruit someone, but they'd never really done that before. They just said, "Oh, I've got a friend," but they actually needed someone in a position. So that team helped them with the job description, how to advertise, all those type of things, which is their skill set, but not necessarily the charities. So it's really trying to assist them to be better in whichever way we can. And sometimes, you know, through COVID, they just wanted to pick up the phone and talk to someone about how tough it was, and how they weren't alone, and how they were, you know, we were happy to support them and continue to support them when times were tough. And just, yeah, that's important to some charities, just to know that they've got a friend and that someone's there. So there's a whole range of ways we can help the charities, but the aim for the coming period is to just help them lift their game even more, because at the end of the day, if they can help more people or do better, that's only a better thing for New Zealand.
Yeah. What do you think everyday people can do in their lives to embrace the values that you have?
I really can't speak for everyone, but I think learn. Like I say, I'm a big believer in that, but also just start and try. Just give it a go. I mean, there's nothing to lose by giving it a go. You just start, try something, do something. You might enjoy it, you might not, but just start and have a go and challenge yourself. It's easy to do nothing, but I wasn't brought up that way. If I want to learn something, I go do it. I have to challenge myself, hence the change of roles, hence the multiple roles within the companies I worked. Just so you know you're alive, challenge yourself to do something different. Don't do skydiving though. There's no reward in that as far as I can tell. Never going to do that.
Not a skydiving.
No, bungee fine.
Okay.
We were going to skydive in Namibia, but
wow.
it was blowing a gale, so we decided not to, which was very good advice to myself afterwards, because it wouldn't have been fun. I had screaming all the way down. So yeah, challenge yourself, and that's what I'd say to people. Challenge yourself, learn, and just start. Give it a go.
I think that was great advice. What do you want your legacy to be?
Crikey. I think it just people know he tried really hard. Simple as that. I mean, I just give him all. Sometimes it's hopelessly inadequate. Sometimes it's not bad. Mm-hmm. And every now and then you go, well, that really worked brilliantly. And it's those little moments that sort of keep you going. It's kind of like when you play golf. I don't play golf, but every now and then I go out and I'll have one good shot, and it makes you go back again 4 years later for another good shot. So if you've got that one little gem that you go, yeah, that actually worked, I'll make this happen. But yeah, he tried hard, he did really well, and he was he moved the dial for New Zealand.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Not a
Loved our
problem, thank you.
conversation. Thank you. Thank you to everyone listening. That was Bryce Marsden from Milford Foundation, and I'm Lilah McDonald on Sustainably Ever After.